Yeah, I was not prepared for that, and I'm sorry that I wasn't. Here we go. Let's see if this is gonna work, folks. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Hello.
Hey there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you, but let me see what I need to do so that the class can see you. Hang on.
Oh, I'm not sure if they really want to see me.
Oh, hell. They want to see that handsome smiling face. Don't give me that. So, wait, well, let me know if they can hear you. Can you guys hear Andy? Well, you can hear him. Brandon says they can hear you, so go ahead and sing out. Sing loud.
No, I just thought I'd try and make this night a little bit more interesting and just basically talk a load of rubbish, basically, like you normally do.
I tell you, that's exactly what I would have expected from you, Andy.
We were literally talking about food a minute ago, weren't you? And things.
Yes, a little bit about food. Yeah, indeed.
So, what is normally your schedule? What do you normally have? Do you have breakfast?
You know what? I'll tell you, because I've been, in the last few years, I've been eating weirdly.
Right.
I have breakfast and lunch. And then after that, I play it by ear.
Well, the only thing that I have is dinner. I skip breakfast and normally I skip lunch.
Interesting. Okay.
So it varies on how I am during the day. If I'm not very tired, it's lunch and dinner.
Uh-huh.
But I just don't have any breakfasts at all.
No breakfast at all?
No.
Now, see, I've always heard, and I don't know if you've heard this, that breakfast is supposedly the most important meal of the day.
It's meant to be.
It's meant to be. But that doesn't always work for everybody, and I get that. I understand that.
I work nights.
Okay. There you go. That's the difference. It is.
I just get home at 7 o'clock in the morning.
There you go.
And the first thing I really want to do is go to bed.
Well, hell yeah. I get that. Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Now, I was always, morning, day shift worker for the most part. And I would get up, have breakfast. And because of the type of work I did, especially working in corporate video, a lot of times lunch was like on the run with a video crew. And you're shooting in a warehouse or something. You're doing interviews at a store or something. And so there was a lot of run and gun lunch along with run and gun shooting. And so my eating habits got really weird. And
right.
I went through a couple of heavy duty weight fluctuations in my lifetime. There was one point in my late 20s when I was probably real close to 300 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I decided I wasn't going to have that. So
how much do you weigh now? Because you do things differently over there.
I'm just over 200. I'm about 208, which is heavy for me these days.
Right, let me just work that out, because we do things in stone over here.
That's right, yes. Yeah, so go ahead and do the math.
I shall know maths.
Oh, I'm sorry, maths. I forgot.
Yeah, not maths. Yeah.
You guys put that extra syllable in aluminum too, right?
Aluminium.
There it is.
Aluminium, please.
Aluminium.
Yeah.
All right. So what is that? Have you done that math? The maths yet?
Give me time, boy. Give me time.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Right. So we're doing pounds
to stone.
To stone.
Tom, if you can beat him to it.
Yeah. I bet Tom will probably beat me to it as well. Right. So how many pounds are you?
I'm going to say right now, let's say 210. Let's round it off. 210. Yeah.
So you're 15 stone.
15 stone. Okay.
Well, I weigh about 11.
11. Stone, okay.
Which is, hang on a second.
All right.
154 pounds.
154. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. It's funny because I hear I hear 15 and 11. I think the difference wouldn't be that great, but it is obviously pounds wise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I always, I'm around that weight. I never have gained weight.
Yeah.
In my entire whole life. So I'm sort of happy in a way that I haven't.
I was that way when I was younger. And what happened was I left college early, and in the course of working my way back to college, I was living down in Bloomington, Illinois, which is about 125 miles south of Chicago. I was there for about 14 months, and the last place where I lived was just across the street from a grocery store that had a bakery that made the best donuts on God's green earth. So I would always, on my way out to work, cross the street, go to the store, and buy a half dozen donuts. Sometimes I would share them with my coworkers. Sometimes, if there was no one else around, I would just eat all 6 donuts myself. And I got addicted to those donuts, and that's where the weight gain started. And then when I moved back to Chicago, the first job I had in Chicago, I was sitting behind a desk all day.
That doesn't help.
Yeah. And then I started writing advertising copy, and most of the time I was sitting behind a desk. So
they can't see my lovely face. You haven't done it so they can see my face.
Let me see what I need to do. Hang on. Let me see. I need to create a new source here. And let's wait to cancel that. That's not what I want to do. New source here. Okay. Let's see. What's the best way to do this?
Hello, McTom. I love you, McTom. Oh, dear.
All right, let me see here. What am I trying to do here? Okay, wait a minute.
So how tall are you then?
Well, at my peak, because you shrink as you get older.
Yeah.
I was just over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Now I'm down around 5'11".
Right.
And probably shrinking.
So yeah, you and me are about the same height. I'm about 6 foot.
You're about 6 foot. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably should be closer to your weight.
Well, as you say, if you're sitting down on the job, then that doesn't exactly help, because I'm always proactive in my work.
Yeah, and I, since after doing the advertising thing, I did that for 8 years, and I did take some exercise classes to burn off like 75 pounds, and my weight stayed within a range for years after that, because when I was doing corporate video, I was sitting sometimes, but I was also more active because we did a lot of location shoots. We did studio shoots and things like that. So I did get a lot more physical activity in doing that work. And I did that for 12 years, almost 13 years. And,
right.
And then after I got downsized from that, all the other jobs I had since then involved more physical activity. So I was never near 300 after I lost 75. But I probably have the most I've weighed in the last 10, 15 years is probably 220.
Yeah. Very good. So what is your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good question. If you had to put a gun to my head, I would say probably lasagna.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sausage lasagna.
A bit of garlic bread with that? Or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, every time I have lasagna, it's got to have a little bit of garlic bread.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's just not the same without it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And your worst favorite food?
Melons. Any kind of melons.
Okay.
There's just something about the texture that disagrees with me. It's like as I'm chewing, it's like, why am I doing this? Yeah, it makes no sense otherwise, because I know they're fairly healthy.
So my favorite food has to be some sort of fish, any fish.
Okay. All right.
Salmon. Yeah. Haddock, anything really. My least favorite food, I hate to say it, is pasta. I hate pasta.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
It's like, pasta to me doesn't taste of anything. It's just like, to me, it just tastes of water.
Interesting.
And And my favorite pudding.
Uh-huh.
It's got to be sticky toffee pudding, I think. That's my favorite.
Toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding. Have you never had sticky toffee pudding?
I don't think so. No, that sounds like something very British. Although they probably do it here, and I just never had it.
Oh, it's lovely. It's like a cake that's drizzled in syrup.
Ooh.
And they warm it up, and it's called sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding. No, I have not had that, and I haven't heard of any place near here that would do that.
All right.
Anybody else know of sticky toffee pudding? Any Americans out there know of it?
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I can't eat fish, says Debbie. Salmon or any seafood. I'm totally allergy to it all. All right, okay.
That's interesting.
You don't want to come around my house, Debbie, because it's served up all the time, sweetheart.
Okay. Well, let me see something here. Let's see if this will. Okay. It's not letting me. Wait a minute. I'm trying to set this up so that we can see you.
Can you not screen cap it?
Let's see. Let me see something here.
See, Tom likes sticky toffee pudding. I think it's definitely a UK thing, obviously. You Americans are definitely missing out on sticky toffee pudding.
Apparently we are. Let's see. Okay.
So name something that's American that you think that we won't have over here.
Chicago style deep dish pizza.
No. Well, we have pizza, obviously.
Right. But not Chicago style deep dish.
No.
Yeah. Which is actually a source of controversy over on this side of the pond because not everybody likes it. They prefer pizza the way you probably are used to.
Yeah. I mean, we have different varieties like you guys over there. We have pepperoni.
Right.
Out of all of them, I like. A lot of people don't like Hawaiian, but I love Hawaiian pizza.
I would be among those who don't like Hawaiian. I've had it a couple times. There was a chain called California Pizza Kitchen, and they came to Chicago back in the 1980s and 90s. And that's about it, because they didn't last long because the local Chicagoans just didn't warm up to it. And mainly because they specialized in what we would consider unusual and different kinds of pizza, and Hawaiian style would have been in that category.
Got ya.
Yeah, pizza is like, sausage, pepperoni, and if you're really extreme, maybe something like anchovies or whatever. Some people like veggie pizzas, but but anything more than that, like Hawaiian style, like with pineapple. Would your Hawaiian style pizza have pineapple on it?
Yes,
it would. That was a no.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best bit on the pizza.
Now, see, there are people who like that kind of pizza here, but I wasn't one of them, and most of the folks I know weren't like that either. I remember trying it once at a restaurant in LA, and it was just not my cup of tea.
Right. Got ya.
If I had been more exposed to it early on, I probably would have appreciated it more. And maybe I would have gotten the hang of it the more I tried it.
We're making Brandon hungry, so he's probably going to go to the freezer and get something out and go to his microwave and go ding.
Yeah.
Because that's what Brandon's like. He never cooks anything sort of fresh or anything like that. His microwave is his. Well, see, I get that, because when I was working and having to commute like 2.5 hours each way to work, my microwave became my best friend too. Or takeout. Right. Yeah, there was, in fact, I was talking to Reddy about this earlier. There were a couple of really good restaurants near where I lived. One of them was a Chinese restaurant. And in addition to all kinds of interesting Chinese dishes, they did a pretty decent job with American style stuff too. So I would order like enough to feed
a family of 4 or one person for a week, and I would freeze stuff and eat for a week that way, and just put together a day's worth of stuff, put it in the microwave real quick, and that's how I did dinner for a long time.
I think if you live by yourself like I do, and I think there's a few people in here that do, sort of freezing stuff is definitely the option. Buying stuff fresh just doesn't help you at all because it doesn't last long.
It doesn't last long, exactly. That was the problem, because I tried that, but that was when I was still, commuting only 15, 20 minutes to work each way versus 2.5 hours each way.
Yeah, even with 15-minute journeys, it's just like, I just didn't have enough time in the day just to finish it all off, and it was just going off all the time. And I was just like, you know what, I'm wasting food here, I'm wasting money as well. I need to buy stuff frozen, and that's what I've done for the last 10 years, possibly.
Sure, yeah. Well, I want to apologize to the class because I do not have this machine set up properly for doing Skype video yet. It's because I haven't done it yet since I've been using this Mac since November. And this is, I think, the first time I've done a Skype call using this machine.
You managed to make Cam Up work for you tonight. What's going on with that?
Oh, that's another story. When I do the music shows, something happened in the last month. I was able to do, without any problem, 4 video streams, including Cam Up.
You use a program to stream to the Cam Up and iVlog and God knows.
Yeah, I use Prism Live Studio on the Mac. And when I first started doing this, I had no problem with doing 4 video streams. Yeah. But something happened in the last month. I'm not sure what. Some kind of software change that and I thought it might have been me at first, but I retraced my steps and I eliminated me from the equation. For some reason, I can only do 3 streams without Cam Up, and I can only do Cam Up solo. I can't do Cam Up with 2 other streams to do 3 streams. It's like it's either all or nothing with Cam Up, either Cam Up by itself or the other 3 streams without Cam Up. There's no in between, which makes no sense to me, but I'm still determined to get it straightened out.
Can you not backtrack your program?
With this program, they don't keep older versions available for very long, unfortunately. Like they used to do when I was on the Windows machine, when I was using XSplit. And if a version of XSplit had an issue, I always kept 2 older versions in reserve that I knew worked.
Yeah, well, I'm having problems with XSplit as well. But at the moment, they've just released a new patch for it.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And the music videos will not play on the new patch.
Oh, that's no good.
So I'm having to go back a couple of patches to make the videos work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just not going to get any music videos.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I used to do with XSplit on Windows. But this Mac is a whole different beast.
Right. Why Mac? They're horrible.
I always have to explain myself with this. But I will do it again. I actually got to play with the very first Macintosh back in 1984.
Right.
I was working as an advertising copywriter at Sears, and Sears opened a series of business-to-business stores. And one of them was the first one, the prototype store, was in the Sears Tower where I worked. So me and our department, the advertising department, we were invited to come down to the store to see the new store. And me and another copywriter sat down at this table where they had the Mac set up, the fresh new Macintosh, and I loved it. It was the first time I ever worked with a mouse, and first time graphical user interface. It was very, very seductive. And always in the back of my mind, I always thought that I'd love to have a Mac and work with and use a Mac. But when we started using PCs in the office, Sears had a deal with IBM, so we got IBM PCs. So I had been using DOS and Windows-based machines from about 1988 until last November.
Yeah.
So a lot of old habits to overcome to get used to the Mac.
So I bet any money you like, you have an Apple phone as well, don't you? Not an Android.
That's what's no. Well, wait. That's what started it. And Reddy, are you there? She stepped away. Okay, because it's Reddy's fault that I have an iPhone.
I can't stand that. I can't stand them. I hate them. I'll never buy an Apple phone at all. It's Android.
Did you use? Have you used an iPhone for any length of time? Okay. No, have you ever used an iPhone?
Never, ever, ever.
Okay.
Ever. Don't want to use one neither.
Let me walk you down my road. Okay. The machine, the phone that I'm using. Actually, I'm using this to control. I want to show you this. If you can see what I'm holding up on screen there.
Yeah, it's like a mixer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the controller software for the mixer I'm using, the digital mixer I'm using. And the phone that it's on is a Samsung Galaxy A71 5G. It's an Android phone, in other words.
Yeah, yeah.
My first smartphone was a $20 phone that I bought at a local drugstore because my flip phone had died. I bought it like 12 years ago, something like that, and it was Android. I used Android forever, and I loved Android phones. I've had like maybe 6 or 7 Android phones in the last decade or so. Well, Reddy and I reconnected about 4 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? Yeah, or was it 3 years ago? It was 4 years ago. And Reddy has always been an iPhone user for the longest time. In fact, when she switched to Android briefly about 10 years ago, it frustrated the hell out of her. And the first thing I asked her was, why did you switch? Because she was used to using iPhones. So she switched back to iPhone. She's been using iPhones probably for at least as long as Apple has made iPhones. I think she's been using iPhones. Mm-hmm. Well, when we reconnected, Reddy will readily admit, no pun intended, that she's not the most tech-savvy person in the world. So she was having issues with her iPhone constantly and didn't always have anyone around to help her with those phones, with those issues. So I thought, well, what's the best thing you can do for the woman you love? I decided to buy an iPhone so I could help her out, so I could learn the iPhone because I had never touched one. And I'm going to say this, having used an iPhone now for 3 years, Apple makes beautiful hardware, stunningly beautiful hardware.
Rubbish.
Wait, no, it's no. The hardware is beautiful.
Rubbish.
I'm emphasizing the hardware because you know what the difference is. The difference between Apple and Android, it's the software. It's the operating system. Android is superior to iOS, hands down, because I've used both for 3 years now. And Android, better software, except for maybe the top of the line Samsung Galaxy S series phones. I'd put them up against any of the iPhones. But other than that, Apple, the hardware is exquisite, but the software is at times ridiculous. Some of the hoops they make you jump through that you don't have to with Android. That's the difference. And I've used both.
There's a big debate going on in this chat.
Oh, of course. I know. I know. But see,
I hate iPhones. I hate Samsung.
Exactly. It's always going to be that way. It's always going to be that way. I get that. But I've used both for 3 years now. And I'm telling you, beautiful hardware from Apple, mind-bogglingly stupid software in some areas. It's like, why the hell do you do that? And using this Mac, I've used it now since November. I had a customer service job a few years ago. I provided first-level technical support for a variety of companies. And I had to learn how to use a Mac. So because some of the customers would call in with questions and they would be Mac users. So I needed to know at least the basics of the Mac in order to help them. So I remember going to a Starbucks to use their Wi-Fi. I had my Windows laptop with me, and I saw a guy sitting over in the corner and he was using a Mac. So I walked over, I introduced myself, and I said, listen, I have never used a Mac. Can you show me how to install software in that sucker? And from that moment on, I realized Mac users must pull their hair out every time they turn on their damn machines, because the extra steps they make you go through to install software are totally pointless and unnecessary. And there's a lot of pointless and unnecessary in the Mac OS. It's worse than the iPhone operating system. But this machine is reliable until a month ago when it couldn't give me 4 streams. That's the only problem it's exhibited. Up until then, I had no problem. The biggest problems I had were me, my inexperience, my newbiness as a Mac user. But otherwise, it works. It's just that I can't figure out how come I can't do 4 streams, including cam up. That's the one mystery I'm trying to solve.
So I'm hearing through the grapevine that you have a mixer that you're going to be giving Brandon. When are you going to give it to him? Because I definitely want to record his first show.
Oh, well, that's going to be very soon. I don't have an exact timeline on it because I'm working on some other stuff on this side of the screen that, plus some health issues, which I don't want to, bore people with or annoy people with. And so, but my plan is to get that out very, very soon, perhaps before the end of this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, if Brandon's listening, he's got to tell me when the mixer arrives.
So you guys have something planned already? Okay, this should be interesting.
It's got to be a day where I'm not working so I can record his first ever show with a mixer, because I think he's going to struggle.
Well, you know what? He may not. You never know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to this. Because now, Aaron, if I'm not mistaken...
Have you got the mixer there?
Have I got it here?
Yeah.
It's not a simple thing to pick up and show you, but hold on.
Oh.
Hang on.
Yeah, that's what I'm after. You to show me it. Yeah, that's it.